So earlier, people, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they all used to do wudu, and there was no tayammum. The revelation didn't come for tayammum. So what happened one time, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was traveling on a journey with some of his Sahaba radiallahu anhu, and his wife was traveling with him, and it was the turn of Aisha radiallahu anha. And so what happened when they were traveling and they stopped at one place, and Aisha radiallahu anha, our mother, she found that her bracelet or necklace, it was missing. Okay, so she told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about it. So our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent some people to find it, the lost necklace or the bracelet. So what happened was, because of that, they got delayed. They were supposed to go and move, and they were delayed because of the searching. And at that particular moment, they did not have water. There was no wells around there, and whatever people water they were carrying, they ran out. And the time of prayer came, and the father, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, of Aisha radiallahu anha, he was also was upset with Aisha radiallahu anha that, look what happened, because of you, our prayers, we had to pray without this wudu. So because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a verse, because the people there offered the salah without wudu. They did not know about tayammum. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this in verse from Surah An-Nisa. This was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm going to recite it in front of you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم إن الله كان عفوا غفورا. So the close translation of this verse is, and if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes after answering the call of nature, or you have been in contact with women and you find no water, and if you find no water, perform tayammum with clean earth, masah, with clean earth, and rub therewith your faces and hands. Truly Allah is ever oft pardoning and oft forgiving. When people heard this verse, they were rejoiced, and they were thanking Aisha radiallahu anha that through her so many goodness came. So they were very happy about it. Now the concession of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increased. Now some of them were talking about Aisha radiallahu anha, look where we landed. Now they were praising Aisha radiallahu anha that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this concession because of her. Anyways, so when this was revealed, people made tayammum and they offered the salah, and this basically is a substitution for wudu. If someone need to make ghusl, they had a wet dream or they had major impurity and they need to take a shower, a ghusl of janaba, then even if they don't have water, they can still make ghusl, and they will be in a state of purity, and they will be able to offer their salah without any problem. One thing to note here is that there are two things only in Islam which can purify us. One is water, and the other is the clean earth. These are the only two things. And again we said, as we will see, with this earth, it's not really, it doesn't really clean anything. We said for worshipping we need not only physical purification, but we need spiritual purification as well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept it in such a way that through water and through the clean earth, our spiritual purification happens in a way we do not understand. So, and that is the reason why we are able to pray. Even though you might be having dirt, and with the clean earth it's going to look more dirty, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept it that way. We are made from earth, and that's how our spiritual purification comes from earth. Okay. Next, let's look how actually we do tayammum. It's the steps of tayammum itself. Now, there are many steps common between wudu and tayammum. For instance, as we said, you need to have intention. It's obligatory. So you can't be like, you do all the steps of tayammum and then say, I was just playing. Now I will, since I did it already, let's make it tayammum. No, you got to have intention before you even start. Okay, and you should have it in your heart. And as we said before, it's not verbal. It has to be in your heart. You don't have to say anything. And second thing, Bismillah, saying the Basmala. This is a Sunnah step. Most of the scholars said it. Some said it is necessary, but stronger opinion is it is a saying is the Sunnah. And the third step is that you strike on the dust. So you don't touch on the clean earth. You don't touch it. You strike it like this. You strike it. That was the practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then once you strike it, you wipe your hands. Okay, the Sunnah is that you place the left palm on your right, you wipe it, and then the right palm on the left, you wipe it, and then you wipe your face with it. So these are the steps that the scholars mention from the ahadith in Sahih al-Bukhari and Abu Dawud. Now some scholars also mention wiping it till the elbows. Again, there's difference of opinion. I don't want to get into that, but the stronger opinion, according to many scholars, seems to be up to the wrists. So if you just strike it on the ground, clean earth, and then left palm on the right, and then the right palm on the left, and then wipe it. And actually, between these two, there is another sunnah that you should do. When you strike it, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to dust them off. So basically, you blow into that. So whatever dust there is in your hand, it goes away. So the objective is not that you take the sand and you just rub all over. That's not, because again you see here, we are not going for physical purification. Okay, it's not meant to like take your dirt away. Okay, because this is dirt itself. So that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it's proven from Sahih al-Bukhari hadith, that he used to dust them off, and he used to blow into them like this, and the dust used to fly. So you strike it, and then you dust them off, and then left over right, and then right over left, and then you wipe your face. That's it. That's as simple as that, and your tayammum is done. And then obviously, as with wudu, we also read the dua, same dua that we do after wudu. You can recite اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين اشهد لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمد رسول الله. Same dua what we covered last time. Okay, we can do the same thing. And some scholars switch the order as well. Some do wipe the face first and wipe the hands second. So what I mentioned here is from Sahih al-Bukhari. That's what most of the scholars follow, and this is what I prefer, what I learned from my shuyukh as well. So let's okay, this one is clear now. Let's get into the actual issues of tayammum now. We said when you don't have water, you are clear, you get the license to do tayammum, right? So is that the only occasion where you can do tayammum where you do not have water? Yarhamakallah. So let's see. There are different occasions that scholars mention that we can take use of the tayammum. What are these? So first one we mentioned, obviously if there is no water, you can do tayammum. Now what is the other option that you can have? Other occasion is lack of water. What does this mean? This means that you have water, you're traveling, you do have water with you, but you say to yourself that I only have this much water and I need to go to bathroom and use this water, or I need to drink this water, and if I use this for these two purposes, and if I do wudu with it, I'm not going to have enough to drink, for example. And this is very important. I don't know where I will find water again, so my survival is at risk. So for this, scholars said that you have a valid excuse here, and now you can use it for drinking, and also higher priority is for purification, cleaning, and you go to bathroom, you do istinja. That's again, you can use this concession. For wudu, that comes third priority, you can make tayammum with it. So that's another scarcity of water, lack of water. But you have to take a decision, really. I mean, you should know, or you can evaluate whether this is sufficient water or not. Another one, risk of losing prayer. So what this means is that, for example, it's like maybe 4 o'clock, right? And you know that you have to pray Asr prayer, for example. You know that you will reach the city in 4 hours, but you're going to miss Asr time and you don't have wudu with you. So you have to make a decision now. I pray right here, or I go to the city and pray there, but it will be a qada, right? It's going to be outside that time. So what do I do? Pray now or go to the city where and I do wudu with water? What should I do? So the scholar said, in this case, again, you have a valid excuse. You can pray with tayammum and then complete it, and then go to the city or wherever, and then you can find water. There's no problem. Okay. And then another is medical issue. So some people are sick and they cannot use water. If they use water, they might die, or their sickness might increase, or it might delay their recovery. So where do scholars come up with all these opinions? How do they just say it? They always look at Quran and Sunnah, a hadith, and it is clearly mentioned. And this is a very famous hadith actually, and it is very, very, something that you should always remember. I get scared sometimes whenever I listen to this hadith. So what happened is, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was informed of three or more companions. They were traveling, and the time of prayer came, and this one person, one Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he had injury. He had some sort of injury on his body, and he was beginning to get sick, or he was sick. And on that particular night, he had a wet dream. He became junub, major impurity. And now when he asked the other companions that he had, I have to make ghusl, I'm in major impurity, can I make tayammum? They said, no, you cannot make tayammum, we have water, so you have to make ghusl. So he did ghusl, and he passed away. He died because his injury, his sickness was like that. And when they came, both came and informed this to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he got angry. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, they killed him, may Allah kill them. Do you not ask about what you do not know? You see here how serious this is. So these two Sahabi, they were very pious worshippers, but they did not have knowledge, and they gave fatwa without knowledge. And what did they do? They killed a person. It wasn't meant literally by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he showed the seriousness, how important this issue is, and how careful we have to be. And this again is a concession, valid scenario where you can make tayammum. And this just not this one, it's just not about major impurity. It can apply to any kind of medical reasons. For example, water might be right there, okay, just like 10 steps away, but you are sitting here, medically you're probably handicapped, you cannot reach there, okay. So in this again you have a concession. Nobody can help you to bring the water, you're by yourself, then yes, you can make tayammum again, you have an excuse. And another thing is extreme difficulty. Extreme difficulty. Sometimes things become very, very difficult for us, and we will not be able to make wudu. It will be very, very serious to do that. For example, we have a freezing water, for instance, right? And you don't have an ability to heat that water. Again, how do we say that? Again, we have to ask, what's the evidence? And the scholars give the evidence, and they mention the hadith wherein the Sahabi radiallahu anhu, his name was Umar ibn al-As, and he was traveling with other Sahaba, and he also had a wet dream. And what did he do? He prayed with the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. and he led the salah, right? And when they came back, the companions complained to Rasulullah. He led the prayer and he had major impurity, and we had water and he was not even sick, and he did tayammum and he led the prayer. So Rasulullah asked Amr ibn al-As, why did you do that? I'm paraphrasing it. Why did you lead the prayer? Why did you not make ghusl when water was available? And Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, he mentioned Rasulullah. There was very cold night, and basically he mentioned a verse from Holy Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not kill yourselves and Allah is merciful to you. So when Rasulullah saw this, he smiled. He smiled basically because he approved how Amr ibn al-As, he had this ijtihad, he has the ability to do that, and he figured out, because the temperature there was very, very, as you know, and sometimes in Arabian Peninsula, when winter comes, it becomes very cold. Might not be freezing, but it's so cold that, if you use that water for making ghusl, there's a good chance you'll get sick. So even though you don't have injury, scholars said that if it is like that freezing or that cold, then you can do tayammum. And sometimes it does happen even in this country. Most of you have witnessed the Sandy, right? All praise be to Allah, it didn't happen during winter season, alhamdulillah. And many people did report it actually many years ago in this country when it snows. And sometimes when it snows, what happens? The water doesn't come from the tap because the water can get frozen in, and there's no gas and electricity goes away. What do? The only thing you have available is snow outside. You don't have any water, you used all water. So what do you do in this circumstance? You go out and do you take ice and you make wudu with it? Now this is, again, it qualifies for extreme difficulty situation, as the scholars mentioned, and in this case scholars said it is permissible for you to take the license at concession of tayammum. And the last one is, the scholars mentioned threat. When there is a threat, you can make tayammum. So what kind of threat we're talking about? There can be any threat to the life, any threat. For example, in modern world, in our time, we can say, for example, if you're traveling in a plane, right? And it really happened one time that our scholars were mentioning that people were making wudu in plane, and the plane was obviously full of Muslims, and they were making wudu and they were not wiping over their socks or their khuf, and water was coming out of the bathroom. And everybody making wudu, what's going to happen? Little by little, water was coming out, and it was in the aisle of the airplane. It was a major security hazard, and the pilots and the air hostess were insisting that, please, it's a danger for the airplane, you can't do it, please do it. So people didn't have this knowledge. Many people were like, no, we have water, we have to make wudu, I don't believe in wiping over the socks, this and that, and they did it, and then that's what happened. So the scholars mention again that it's a threat. If because of that, if a plane would have come in danger, and if the train would have collapsed, then that person would have been responsible for causing all this life loss, for example. So again, when you have such kind of threats, when you know it's a threat to the life, then it is permissible to make tayammum. Okay. So what exactly do we mean by tayammum? What objects we can use for tayammum? Is the clean earth only one? Do we have to go out and find the clean earth, or can we do with other objects as well? So the scholars said again that dust is like the most preferred of all objects. You find clean earth, that's like the best thing, that's what you should go for. But if you don't have it, you can use other objects as well. For example, you have like a mud, rocks, sand, clay, pebbles, or anything like that. Or if you only have a little bit of stone, what the scholar said, you just take that stone and you roll over your hands like you have soap, and you just roll over it, and then your hands will have dust, and then you can do the steps of tayammum. Okay, so that will work. And Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullah, he said that if any object has dust particles on it, then it can be used for tayammum, even if yeah, it's not clean earth, but any object that has dust on it, like plastered walls, for example, even that is fine. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, even he said that smooth rock surfaces and plastered walls and clay from pure mud, all these are valid. So this is okay, but again, the best thing to do is go out, find clean earth, and do it from the tayammum. And if you're in plain, do you find clean earth? You don't find. So what do you do? Whatever dust is on the surface, you just go and do tayammum with it. Okay, now it's a situation of necessity. Chairs of the aeroplane or whatever, the front of the aeroplane, you can do it. One question though. What if somebody is in a hospital, he had an accident, for example, and his two hands, two legs, you know that happens, right? They put all the plasters and everything. He can't even do tayammum, and there's nobody to help him to do tayammum as well, or wudu. So what should that person do? He can't even do tayammum. He still has to pray, right? He still has to pray, and he has to pray by maybe eyes or whatever he can. He has to still pray. So how does he make wudu? How does he make tayammum? You know, you can't do anything. You can just probably show a little bit of actions as if you're doing tayammum, or you know, you can just pray like that. Many times it happens like that. Even like the prisoners, for example, they tie them up like this, or you know, chain them up, and they have to pray. They are Muslims. No matter how bad they are Muslims, and they are concerned about praying. What do? They just do whatever they can. They can do tayammum, that's okay. They still have to pray because it's a situation of necessity. No exceptions for prayers, no valid excuse. You still have to pray, brother. That's why it's such a serious thing. You have to pray no matter what. You can't say, oh, it's a good opportunity. I can't make tayammum, I can't make wudu, so alhamdulillah, I don't have to pray. That is not a valid excuse. Okay. Now, partial tayammum. This is something, for example, your whole body is fine. You make wudu, but you fell down from the stairs. You had plaster on your hands. You can't make wudu over this part, or you cannot bend or whatever. You cannot make full wudu. So this partial tayammum is that some body parts you can make tayammum. So wiping over it, basically, you wipe over your arms, that's fine. Or you wipe over your foot, that's fine. And you can use wiping for any of such parts. Okay, so this is called partial tayammum. And okay, the question here that many people ask is, there are like few brothers traveling, right? And people had wudu. One brother didn't have wudu and they didn't have water, so he did tayammum. Now you have brothers who all have wudu, but some of them did real wudu, some of them did tayammum. Can a person who did tayammum lead the prayer of the other for others? Is he qualified to be an imam? So the scholar said that yes, if he is qualified, if the conditions of imamate, you know, like if he knows the Quran very well, he's hafidh al-Quran, he's very knowledgeable, then he has to lead the prayers. Okay, so once he has tayammum, he becomes equal. You know, he becomes spiritually purified. So you don't differentiate now. So he is very similar to others, and he can do all the things that a person with tahara can do. He can read Quran with the tayammum. He can do even tawaf with the tayammum. He can do every other thing. There's nothing that he cannot do. He becomes exactly equal. Now, how does tayammum break? So we mentioned all the examples, what breaks your wudu, right? Anything comes out of private parts, all those 5 things we mentioned. Tayammum, exactly those things break. Exactly same. What breaks wudu also breaks your tayammum. But there is one additional thing that breaks your tayammum. Okay? What is that additional thing? You find water. When you find water, your tayammum breaks. So you just did tayammum, and then you're about to start prayers, and the brother came running and said, brother, I found water for you, do wudu. So now you can't say, oh, I did tayammum, so I'm okay. No, once you find water, your tayammum automatically breaks. So you have to make wudu, and then you can pray. Now the same scenario, brother makes tayammum, and he offers you salah. As soon as he says salam, the brother comes running and said, brother, I found water, make wudu. Does he have to repeat his prayer? He doesn't have to repeat his prayer. He does not have to repeat his prayer because that was done and he had the license, concession to do it, and that is fine. He doesn't have to do it again. Okay. And again, can you use the same tayammum for multiple prayers, or do you have to keep repeating tayammum for every prayer? So as with wudu, you can do it for multiple prayers as well. No problem, inshallah. So again, you have to think, brothers and sisters here, like just don't jump to tayammum. I can't, I'm sick, I want to do tayammum. No, there are many steps before you go to tayammum. First, you try your best to make wudu. If you cannot make wudu, ask someone to help you do wudu. Okay? Ask someone, if you cannot walk, ask someone, can you please bring water or help me make wudu? So you have to ask that. And third thing, you can do tayammum if that is not possible. And then fourth thing, if you yourself cannot do tayammum, you ask others, please help me do tayammum, I can't even move my hands. Or even that is not possible, then you go to the fifth option, wherein you just pray as it is. So don't jump to fourth or fifth immediately. Exhaust all the possible options that you have of making wudu.